This week on the Music History Today topic, it is question and answer time. I thought I would start a new weekly segment on YouTube where I would pick a music topic and talk about the history and such. Before I do, though, I thought I would start by answering a few questions that seem to be the norm in the comments section, back when I had it open at least, and I'll explain why I don't anymore in a little while. The first question is, when I talk about how someone dies, why do I just say pass away instead of saying that they died from an overdose or suicide or were shot and killed? This usually comes up in the comments on my shorts, usually very angry comments like, are we 12 or something? One guy angrily did ask if I thought that the people reading this was 5 years old. Well, I don't, but apparently YouTube does. I'll explain. I used to mention that so-and-so committed suicide or that someone had a drug overdose, but then one day I received a letter from YouTube concerning my post about how Chester Bennington had committed suicide. They said that someone reported the word suicide, or at least their algorithm did, and thought that either I was advocating that people commit suicide or that I myself was contemplating it. And then they also sent me a list of groups to seek help from, and of course they shadow banned me for 6 weeks. That is why I say things like John Lennon passed away on December 8th, 1980, instead of John Lennon was shot and killed by Mark David Chapman, or that Scott Weiland passed away instead of Scott Weiland passing away from a drug overdose. Stuff like that. And this usually happens in my shorts, but it also happens on my podcast posts, especially when I post about things like tragedies that affect music, like the Le Bataclan killings during the Paris terror attacks, or Pan Am Flight 103, which exploded over Scotland due to a bomb. Mentioning things like that apparently are frowned upon in this establishment, at least by YouTube's algorithm, I guess. So those posts are usually shadow banned. I can tell because those posts get dramatically cut down in the views, and then the next ones pop right back up to where they should be. Go figure. That is why I now have to simply say that so-and-so passed away. Sorry, kids. There seems to be other channels that can get away with posting about things like that, but this one can't, so there you have it. I know people are going to say that I can do this, that, and the other, but I've tried all the ideas, and this is a small channel after all. We're looking to get bigger. I'm not looking to get banned, so I'll just keep saying that someone passed away from mental health issues or drug-related issues. The point's still made without getting red flagged. It is, after all, YouTube's platform. It's not my platform. So if you're still unhappy about the fact that I say passed away instead of saying how they passed away, what can I tell you? Complain to YouTube, not to me. The next question that I usually get is why I use stock footage and not actual photos or songs by artists when talking about them like other channels do. The answer is twofold, but they both lead back to the exact same place, and that place is called copyright issues. The sad fact is, the vast majority of people on YouTube are using the music and photos of artists without permission. First, let's talk about the music. I know that there are channels like Rick Beato's, whose channel I love, by the way. You should check it out. Highly recommend it. Great interviews with classic musicians. In any event, Rick Beato uses music. I can only assume that he either has permission from the artist or he has some expensive deal with the labels to use the music. His channel does have over 1 million people, actually, so I would think that he does. I do remember him saying, however, not too long ago, that his video with either Alan Parsons or David Gilmour, I forget which, but one of those, was demonetized. I looked into getting a music license for podcasts once, and most labels don't even have plans for creators to use music in videos and such. which is really stupid, honestly, especially when you consider how many people watch YouTube and other platforms and aren't watching actual television, we'll say. There are a lot of creators who use the music, but they get strikes against them and demonetized, and we're not going to go down that road. That is for sure. Same goes with artist photos and videos, especially on the thumbnails. Photographers and videographers deserve to be credited and paid for their work, and as a hack photographer on the side myself, I can easily relate to that because it really sucks to see somebody on Instagram or YouTube use your photos without permission and, oh, by the way, make money off of your work. And it happens all the time. In fact, as I'm writing this, famed rock photographer Jim Marshall called out a Bob Dylan fan page for posting 2 of his photos on their site without his permission. This sort of thing happens all the time, and you see it all over YouTube. You can try to claim fair use all you want, but companies who own the copyrights to photos, videos, and music will only tolerate it for so long until they crack down on it. Even the fair use stuff, or at least what you would like to call it as fair use, even though it really isn't. At some point, you will lose all monetary value for your channel videos, and in some cases, you will actually just lose your channel. If you don't believe me, ask someone who's been on Twitch for more than, say, 4 years. Back around COVID lockdowns, when Twitch exploded, people were playing whatever music they wanted. Record labels complained and finally forced Twitch to tell the users that they had to erase all of their videos with copyrighted music or face being banned from the channel. For some creators, that meant a couple of years' worth of videos that were demonetized and had to disappear. That also meant a lot of money that was gone. You can talk about fair use and all that, and that might be true for some things, but according to a copyright attorney that I know, people are only getting away with it until the companies decide to go for a money grab and tell YouTube that the creators need to either pay up if they're monetized or be gone if they're not. I would rather not take the chance. So until Universal Music comes up with a practical and relatively cheap podcaster licensing agreement and Getty Images comes way down on their photo pricing, then it is just simple Canva stock footage and graphics for this kid. Everyone else who's posting photos and videos of old TV documentaries, concerts, and such are playing with fire, quite literally. And they will eventually get burned. And that is someplace I do not want to go. So hopefully that answers your question as to why you just see the graphics up there all the time and not an actual photo of, say, the Beatles or Dylan or whatever. In any event, that is it for this particular Music History Today topic of the week. Please check out our other podcasts that we have on this channel, the Music History Today Daily Podcast, the Music History In-Depth Podcast, which drops every single Tuesday on this channel, where we go over in-depth topics of music, I might say, and also the spin-off to the Music Halls of Fame podcast, where we go over who should be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That one drops every single Thursday now. Everybody, have yourselves a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.